if you keep projecting these kind of things, what does it speak of? Or it speaks less of the country Nigeria. Now the question is, what is Nigeria becoming? Are we really becoming?
A beautiful morning to you, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, where every sunrise meets informed conversations, impactful stories, and the pulse of national affairs. I'm Samson Balogun, your lead host on this show. It's a pleasure to start this bright Thursday morning with you.
And I'm Manulu Akwoido. Whether you're waking up in Lagos, sitting in traffic in Abuja, tuning in from Ibadan, or watching anywhere across the globe, thank you for choosing to rise with us. We promise you a show loaded with clarity, context, and compelling analysis. But first, on Daybreak Gist, we dive into a story shaking national and diplomatic debate.
Right.
Alleged genocide. Trump lied to the world about Nigeria. You want to know who said that? That's Femi Falana. Right. Human rights crusader Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, is accusing former U.S. President Donald Trump, oh yes, still the President of the United States, of spreading dangerous falsehoods about targeted massacres of Nigerians, of Christians in Nigeria. We'll be exploring the politics of misinformation, global narratives about our security landscape, and what this means for Nigeria's image and international relations.
All right, after that, we'll bring you the weather update and then Daybreak News, the stories you need to know, and as you begin the day.
Definitely. So many things to get started with this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Anu. Good to have you on the show again.
Yes.
Always nice to be with you on the show.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being here again with you.
All right, it's just, it has refused to leave the front pages of the newspaper since Donald J. Trump, spoke about Nigeria in such a way, called Nigeria names, and, it's just not the fault of the people out there. It's how we have presented ourselves as a country, the image building, exactly what is going on with the country. Now, there's an alleged genocide. Trump lied about to the world about Nigeria. That's coming from Femi Falana, son. He's saying, look, yes, we have our issues in Nigeria. Yes, have we been able to solve it? He doesn't think so at this time. But the problem is that the world is getting a different information to what is going on in Nigeria right now. And, so many people in Nigeria will echo this sentiment, saying, look, I think Falana is saying the right thing. One thing I'm really scared of is social media. I've always said this countless times. I mean, the next world war might just be caused by social media if it is not streamlined. Even in advanced countries, there are limits to what you can post. There are things you cannot do because it can, just one comment on social media and then we can have religious or, political war out there. But unfortunately, we've got a system in Nigeria that really does not track what is going on. The only time you see an activity of people in terms of cybersecurity and the likes, on the other hand, I mean, when talking about the government is when probably someone says something in the comment section and it affects a politician, maybe, an individual feels oppressed or maybe, bullied on social media, especially the prominent ones, maybe a celebrity or a politician. Then you would see that, even if you are using a proxy name, a name that really doesn't have a face, they will track you down to the corner of your room and pick you up. But when we are talking about a strategic national issue, nobody says anything. And I'm really scared about how this administration undo about the image making for Nigeria. I'm really scared about how they put information out there. Because one thing I think they have not been able to do is the fact that they have failed to communicate with the world and the Nigerian people. Because if you are able to do it, people will know exactly what is going on in your country, and the US will not go to social media or maybe use an intelligence gathering done just by what people or Nigerian people are saying. And that's just a fraction of the Nigerian people. There was a point I was, checking history, and, I read something about, a certain part of the country says, they have Jewish descent. And then I checked the history. I do not see any correlation in that. So I'm beginning to feel like, what exactly, are you trying to rewrite history or something? But hey, this is Nigeria. You can claim to be from, if you are from Oyo State, for example, you can decide to say, I'm from Ogun State, depending on where you want to be from. And there's a freedom of that in the country. But as long as you are still a Nigerian, you carry Nigerian passport, I think you owe it as a right or responsibility to paint Nigeria as one of the best countries out there, regardless of the situation.
I so much agree with what you've said. I also like to mention that Nigeria is a complicated state in a sense, and the sense of the ethnic differences, variations across the ethnic groups, variation across religious groups and all of that,
even
and some
political.
other, political interests and all of that too. There are a lot of variations. So we can acknowledge, we can all come to a consensus to say that Nigeria is complicated. Now the issue of Falana and Trump is also as complicated because it carries a coloration of religious, of religion, better put. And these are the things we are facing right now. But I think I want to stretch into why Falana made that statement. He was saying that Trump did not refer to any particular data or statistics to just come up with.
Right. There's no data backing for what he said.
Yeah, so I did a bit of checking and I went online to see, to get a bit of update. I saw that it was just multiple human rights and religious advocacy organizations that have claimed that tens of thousands of people, of Christians now, have been killed in Nigeria since 2000. Now, I'll quote what one of them said. According to Global Christian Relief, they said, reported that in April 2023, a document showed that at least 52,250 Christians were killed between 2009 and 2023, based on a report by the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, Inter-Society. But we've not seen a concrete, maybe a national or even some trusted data board come up to say, this is the numbers. We don't have the digits, we don't have the numbers, we don't have the statistics. So if Falana comes to say that, I think he's right. Because Trump did not also mention while he was speaking, it was just mentioning like an outburst, like he got an information, he got an intel, and then he's going straight to talk about it. We know Trump to be a very expressive person, so he probably wouldn't wait for any more. Once he decides he's going to talk, and he doesn't care whose ox is God, so he speaks to whatever he speaks to. But Falana was accusing him of not speaking to data. That he was just saying the things because he probably felt, oh yeah, there's something, and so let's talk about it. It's not founded, it's not based, it's not premised on data. We can agree with Falana on that.
Right.
But not to also take it away that there's no Christian genocide. That conversation is not even something I love to discuss. But one thing is also certain. When Trump made this statement, a lot of things went a lot of things went overboard. People, in fact, there's a report that Chad, the leader of Chad, closed the borders because they got intelligence. They might flee Nigeria and enter into Chad. That's one. And a lot of we've seen our new rebuttal to NSA coming out to say we've done this. Everybody's now trying. It's like they're putting them on their toes. These are the things we've talked about this before. Opposition parties should play this game well.
Right.
They should be the ones setting these people on their toes. They should be the one trying to call them to, oh yeah, this is not the standard. This is a far cry from what we want in Nigeria. Can you do it better? And so they start working. But it seems like it's the international body. And like you mentioned, I love the fact that you mentioned and you've seen that what we are projecting to the outside world is not good for Nigeria. It's not good for Africa. If we keep projecting these kind of things, what does it speak of? It speaks less of the country Nigeria. It doesn't. Now, people don't. If you recall, in that statement that Trump released at first, he called Nigeria a kind of name that is not so well. It didn't sit well with me.
Which I wouldn't want to echo on the show.
It wouldn't sit well with anybody. And so that came about. But my problem now is, I think one of the things I said it also yesterday, that it's important that it is not what you have that really matters. If you want to become a global giant, it is not what you have, it's not what you get in terms of loans and all of these monies that are coming from different places. Is it what you are becoming? Now, the question is, what is Nigeria becoming? Are we really becoming? Because if we have to become, remember, United States was not the world power at the time. They grew into that. China was never that.
Right.
They grew
Even
into
India.
that. And India. See,
Russia.
every other country has a blueprint of what they want to do. We have a projection. We want to become the greatest nation. We want to become a world power in this sector. Some have taken artificial intelligence as something, and they are really doing. China, for example. Some have even said they've done more than US. US is trying to match up. Now, there's a lot of competition amidst that. But what is the competition in Nigeria? Now, we see senators. Yesterday, we spoke about the governor of Kwara State celebrating his son's birthday in the UK, and then it was lavish. Everybody was, so what's the narrative? Again, Natasha too was denied, and then she went on live, and the world is seeing again. What have we come to become?
It's actually a challenge, and what we are now used to in the country is, I think I said this a few months ago, that in some countries, Nigeria has become something you can call a cartoon network. you know, when you just want to amuse yourself, or maybe, you know, for therapy's sake, you just tune in and then you begin to. I mean, you can testify to this when your friends, your colleagues from you know, abroad who have actually traveled out of the country, when they call you, they know pretty much, you know, about Nigeria than you do. And then you begin to have a conversation at your own leisure time, at your own period where you should work. Then you begin to have conversation and you begin to realize, where did you hear this from again? I mean, sometimes it is always like that. But unfortunately, that's the situation we have found ourselves. And that's exactly why I talked about, you know, when it comes to international relations, what exactly are we doing? And, you know, just after the outburst by Donald J. Trump, you know, we heard about the president telling, you know, the security agencies to speed up the screening of potential ambassadors for the country.
Yeah.
That's another area where this government has failed.
They had to withdraw them before then.
Before now, you know, these are things, before you withdraw ambassadors from places there, you know, there should be a replacement. I mean, it's not a sport that you leave and then there will be a vacuum. There should be no vacuum in such area because they are more or less like, you know, your mouthpiece in those countries.
The face of the country.
The face of the country in that place. Like, take, for example, you have had several people who have filled up, you know, ambassadorial positions in the past, and we know exactly how they have represented well. Yes, in some cases, you see people who have been saddled with those responsibilities and they'll fail. It is understandable. But before you withdraw them, there should be someone ready to replace. I mean, even in advanced countries, other countries, what they do is that there's always a pool of people who can at any point be appointed as an ambassador. So why is it a case where in Nigeria, well, maybe because everything is political here, so it has to come with each administration what they want to do, but the country must have a list. I mean, let's look at what happened to David Beckham recently. He was knighted. I mean, you would understand the fact that there has been a trend. They knew that one day someone will come on board, and then he has been on the list for a long time. For example, too, in the world of football, there's something we call the Premier League Hall of Fame. So there is a pool of players where at any point in time, one or two of them will be picked and say, oh, this is the time for you to go into the Hall of Fame, and that's it. But then it's only in Nigeria where we do the fire brigade approach kind of thing. It is until we need to do something, then that is when we spring into action. But unfortunately, it will not help a country like Nigeria. Well, it is good that the president has, you know, take a critical look at this, has told the security agencies to speed up with the screening, and then ambassadors will be appointed. That way, there will be someone that you know represent the country in those places, and that will give us a little bit of cut us some slack when it comes to international relations, in one way or the other.
Let me allude to an allegory that I would call it an allegory because it happened at the chambers, I think just a couple of days ago, where the Senate President, Fabio, was, you know, in an altercation with Jibrin, you know, and they were having a conversation as to, and he was asking the question. He was asking the Akpabio, are you scared of Trump? It was a funny situation, quite honestly, and he was trying to say this is a thing of national and international relations. We have to be democratic about it. But he was saying, are you scared of him? Now, what I'm trying to say from this is, sometimes it is not really about other people. It is much more about us.
Right.
It's not about what Trump would say or has said. It is much about what we are making of it. What is Nigeria making? Like you said, you mentioned too, the president has said, you know, guys, let's start working. I mean, this should not be an outside thing. It should be an external force that will make us move to do what is right. Because I asked the question, what is leadership in Nigeria? Someone would say that we want someone who is experienced. Experienced in what? In a field leadership, in a field political. I mean, so what's the case when we say we need experience in leadership? What kind of experience do we really talk about? Because I wonder, I've seen, there was a time the United States came out to say that they had about 50 years fossil fuel they would use. And that was a bold statement. I'm not sure Nigeria can make such statement because tomorrow you might get to know
where's
that
the storage?
Everybody might just get to a filling station and discover there's no fuel.
There's no fuel.
We have to project beyond the 4-year tenure. We have to look beyond the 4, the 8, look at 50 years. We've seen countries, Singapore, for example. We've seen countries who are not backing down on this. They want to do something, but they are even planning beyond 10 years.
You see, when you mention Singapore, you know, I laugh because Singapore came to Nigeria and then, you know, they copied one or two things and they are doing way better than us in those things they copied. I mean, that's a big slap on the face of the country. I mean, when you look at where we are coming from and where we are, one would expect that we should have gotten miles ahead of where we are at this point. Unfortunately, we are here. And this is the time for the president to rewrite history, make things better than how we met it, and most definitely history will judge everyone. Posterity will judge everyone, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity,
Religion.
regardless of religion, and regardless of political affiliation. Whatever you have done today as a leader, it will be said about you tomorrow. Look at what happened recently, just before we go, that, the president granted clemency to some leaders, and some people who actually found themselves in prison for one reason or the other. And people were particular about some names. Why? Because what they did, people felt your name should not be cleared. You should remain that way. So as a person, as an individual, if you are watching this morning, posterity will judge everyone. And this will be a fine place to leave this particular one this morning. Let's go on a quick break. And then when we return, we'll take weather reports. We'll be back.